Hello and welcome to MFM Reaper. This video is the fourth video in showing tracks by name. The views can be selected by hotkeys or by the controller using CSI. Track views we've covered so far are outputs assigned to the output button, basses assigned to F1, and drums assigned to F2. Now the acoustic guitar tracks are going to be assigned to F3. We can magnify specific parts of the acoustic guitar tracks with modifiers. Control will show just the tracks, Alt will show just the buses, Option will show only the tracks with audio on, and Shift isn't used in this. The modifiers work the same whichever instrument. And this is how we program the bass. Control and F1 with the bass tracks, Alt and F1 was the bass bus and the outputs that followed. Option and F1 will show just the bass tracks with the audio on or items, and F1 shows the whole cascade of tracks to bus to output buses. We already assigned the drums to F2, so now we've got Control and F3 for the acoustic tracks, Alt and F3 for the acoustic buses to the output buses. Option F3 will magnify any acoustic guitar tracks and items. F3 on its own is the overview. If you have a time selection, the time selection will take priority of the magnifications. Okay, the first thing we need to do is create 4 recording or playback tracks. Create as many as you want. Just make sure the abbreviation ACG is at the beginning of them. If you're not familiar with what's happening here, check out the video on auto color and auto icon. You don't have to make this track template. If you open one of your older mixes and pasted ACG at the end of your acoustic guitar tracks, once we've programmed this, it will all work. The buses use ACGT, and this is bus A. And the reason that's not been recognised by auto color, auto icon is something very simple. When I did it originally, I put 2 spaces between the words. Once I correct that, this will colour itself and add the right icon. I'm going to make 2 buses so I can sum this down, 1 and 2 into bus A, 3 and 4 into bus B. So this is already programmed into the auto color, auto icon window as well. I'll just remove that full stop. Also try adding a space before every track name just to see how it looks on your display. Control and Command A zooms to fit all of the tracks into the window. I explained how to program this in the output buses video. I'll also be making videos of each individual action and how to program those. Here I've selected tracks 1 to 4. On track 1 I click on the I/O label. Opens the routing window. If I remove the master send, it still only removes it from track 1. But if I opposite click and remove the master send there, it'll remove it from all of the selected tracks. I use that quite a lot, so I've assigned it to the track button on the MCU. I want to route tracks 1 and 2 to bus A, so I'll unselect the tracks. Hold down on the I/O label and drag it down to the bus you want to send it to. You'll see a jack socket appear. Do that for 1 and 2. And then 3 and 4 go to bus B. Each time you do that, a little send box appears like that with all the details of the send. We're just going to leave it standard. Let's go and check the sends from the I/O label. Yep, bus A. And you can check from bus A on the receives as well. Yep, receiving from those 2. There is a routing window you can do all this from. It's nothing like as cozy as working in the arrange window like this. We'll look at it another time. If you followed the first 3 videos, you probably already understand by now that this is done by track name. ACG for the tracks, ACGT in this case for the buses. We need to create what are called cycle actions for those, and we also need a quick way of getting to the cycle action window, so search for it in the filter and give it Shift J as a hotkey. Now use Shift J to open the cycle action window. If you've not seen it before, don't worry, just opposite click in there, add a cycle action. Now spell console, the way everybody spells console, space, capital S, star, and then give it ACG as the abbreviation, star. You can copy that, press return, and then go over to the other box, right click and add, paste it there, return and apply. And let's do ACGT, so we've got the buses as well. Same thing, opposite click, add cycle action, type console, any way you like, space capital S, straight away star, and then the abbreviation you're going to use ACGT, star, copy that, return, opposite click there and add, and paste it to it. And don't forget to apply that. And don't forget to apply that. Well done. You don't have to write Console S in the left-hand box, I just find it easier to copy and paste into the right-hand from there. A recap on how the modifiers work. So no modifiers gives an overview and selects the first track, that's for the MCU. Control 3 shows all of the recording or playback tracks only, all selected. Alt 3 will show only the acoustic guitar tracks with audio on, and that will be zoomed to fit the screen. Command 3 is the buses, and 3 is the overview again. We'll transfer and mirror that onto the MCU as well. Now let's make the custom action that gives you the overview of the acoustic guitars. So open your action list, new action, new custom action, and just wait there for a second. I'll get the same window opened as you by using my custom action. The acoustic guitar tracks and buses and master. Try and be as descriptive as you can with the custom action name. Preferably just copy that identically. Now you want to type each of these instructions in the right hand box into your filter, one by one. So let's do the first one, set track mode to, let's add auto to that. Okay, that's near enough. Set track automation mode to trim read. Just drag that over and stick it in there. And continue that till you've got all the same actions. So how this is going to work, we're going to set the mode to read from whatever it was, hide all the envelopes, zoom the time selection. That's only relevant if you've got a time selection, it still works without one. Show all the tracks in the track control panel. Next is the custom action you made, the ACG, so that'll just select the acoustic guitar tracks. And the next action, hide the unselected tracks. Now in the TCP, there's only the tracks with the abbreviation ACG in the name. But in this overview, I also want to see the music out bus, because the guitar bus is summed to that, and the master out bus. Please watch that video if you haven't already, and these will appear for you. So show selected tracks in TCP for both of those. Then we select all the tracks. Next is an SWS extension, vertical zoom to selected tracks, minimize others, ignore last track's envelope lanes. There's quite a few actions like that, but specifically choose that one. Then we select the first of the selected tracks. This is for the MCU to line itself up, and we scroll to the top so everything's all in sync. Once we OK that, make sure you give it the hotkey 3. And if you've given it a decent description, you should be able to understand what that action does just from looking at it in the action list, which is very useful. Now let's program Control and 3, which will show us the record stroke playback tracks. Open the action list, new action, new custom action. If I group these by shortcut, you can already see how these lay out. So we're doing Control and 3, acoustic guitar tracks only. Okay, so you should have an empty window. Custom action name first. I have a habit of copying that before moving on. Unusual thing. Type into the filter what you see in the boxes below. Arrange window main is an instruction we made in the very first video. Like I say, a lot of the custom actions I'm going to be doing individually and numbering them so there can be an easy reference for them. We're going to zoom to the time selection if there is one, select just the acoustic guitar tracks. Then we're going to unselect tracks with bus in the name because obviously ACGT for the buses has ACG in it. So we'll hide those. Then we're going to hide the unselected tracks. So now we've just got the recording stroke playback tracks. Select them all. And the usual thing, vertical zoom, selected tracks, minimize others, ignore last track envelope lanes, very important. And then we're going to scroll to the top. Don't forget to give that a hotkey, Control 3. I've run that action to check it works and everything's fine there. It's showing all of the acoustic guitar tracks all selected. Now to show just the tracks with items on, with the items zoomed in. New action, new custom action, and bear with me while I go and find that. Option 3. Items only. Okay, I'll edit that. And now you can copy what you see for the custom action name and then into the filter one by one, the custom actions. If you follow the actions one by one in the list, it should be starting to make more sense as to why they're put together like this. Okay, when you've done that, OK it. Don't forget to give it the hotkey, option 3. And we'll have a little look at how that works. So Acoustic Guitar 2, no items on. That's now excluded from the view. It doesn't matter what the magnification of your items are. This button will zoom the items to magnify and fill the screen. If you have a time selection, that'll override the horizontal view. A quick look at how to modify the track layout. So opposite click on a selection of tracks. I'm selecting the recording tracks. Layout, track panel, the one behind the keyboard there is long name. And then when I select the buses, opposite click, layout, track panel, and then big meter. I have a big meter for the buses and a long name for the tracks. Options here will vary from theme to theme. So now we're going to create the final action, which is for the buses. So ignore what's in the filter. Just new action, new custom action. While I go and find command 3, which is already programmed, edit that so you'll have empty boxes. Again, custom action name first and foremost. Then the usual procedure, type into the filter what you see in the right hand box till it appears in the left, and drag it from the left to the right till it's exactly the same. When you've completed that, go down and press OK. This new custom action should come up selected if it doesn't, or if you accidentally lose it. That's why I was saying to copy the name when you were making the action, paste it into the filter and locate it again. Give it command 3 as the hotkey. I'll just run that and that's how it looks. Just the 2 buses. The 4 views we've made. The overview, 3. Command 3 is just the record and playback tracks. Alt 3 is the tracks with audio on, of which there are none. That's why it's come up blank. And command 3 is the buses. Just to prove what I was talking about, I'll stick a couple of bits of audio on. Alt 3, and there they are. Alt on your keyboard translates as Option on the MCU, and Command translates as Alt on the MCU, so it can get a bit confusing. To get all these working on your controller, open your Zon file and open the action list at the same time. So the first one I'm going to put on is the overview. If I opposite click on that when it's selected and go to Copy Selected Action Command ID, each and every one of the actions in this series on the F buttons will start with Go Zone Home. It just means that whatever zone you're in, you are definitely going to be in the correct zone. I also have this instruction on the Global View button. Go Zone Home, Tracks and Buses needs to be the first of any of the commands. Just going to the zone of tracks and buses doesn't mean that all of the tracks and buses are going to be within view. So this custom action, which we did in the first video, I'll make another short video of the hotkey for that and then put a link in the description. Once the track control panel has all of the tracks and buses in, then I can select which ones I want to have in view. If you didn't paste it in previously before we looked at these other commands, just go to Find Shortcut, press 3, copy selected Action Command ID, and paste that in there as the third instruction. Make sure you give it a good, recognizable name after a couple of forward slashes. Don't be concerned about the duplication of the set automation to trim read in the Zon file, as well as some of the action lists. I started to program this list one way and then changed my mind, and it doesn't matter about the duplication. Continue going through the actions. You don't need to put REAPER with a capital R before the Go zone, and don't be concerned that the number doesn't match mine, the long number, it won't. Just make sure you give it a good descriptive name afterwards, after 2 forward slashes. And once you've done that, make sure you save your Zon file. Refresh all MIDI surfaces, and that should work fine. If you've got a problem, leave a comment below the video. Next we'll be doing the electric guitars, and thanks for watching.